The murder of Sarah Everard, a crime that shook the UK. The murder of Sarah Everard in March 2021 by a serving police officer, Wayne Couzens, sent shockwaves throughout the United Kingdom and beyond. The case not only highlighted the dangers faced by women but also raised critical concerns about police misconduct and institutional failings. The disappearance. On the evening of March 3, 2021, 33-year-old Sarah Everard was walking home from a friend's house in Clapham, South London. It was a route she had taken before, and like many women, she took precautions, staying on well-lit streets and speaking to her boyfriend on the phone. However, she never made it home. Sarah was abducted by Wayne Couzens, a serving officer with the Metropolitan Police, who falsely arrested her under the pretense of breaching COVID-19 lockdown regulations. He handcuffed her, put her in his rental car, and drove away. The investigation and discovery. Sarah was reported missing the next day, and a large-scale search operation was launched. Days later, on March 10, police discovered human remains in a woodland area near Ashford, Kent. Dental records confirmed the body was Sarah Everard's. Wayne Couzens was arrested and later charged with kidnapping, rape, and murder. It was revealed that he had used his police credentials and authority to deceive Sarah into compliance. Further investigation showed that Couzens had a history of inappropriate behavior, raising serious questions about police vetting procedures. The trial and sentencing. Couzens pleaded guilty to all charges. In September 2021, he was sentenced to a whole-life order, meaning he will never be eligible for parole. The judge described his actions as devastating, tragic, and wholly brutal. Public outrage and institutional impact. Sarah's murder ignited widespread protests and debates about women's safety. The slogan, "Reclaim the Streets," became a rallying cry for those demanding systemic change. Many women shared their experiences of feeling unsafe, particularly in interactions with law enforcement. The case also led to scrutiny of the Metropolitan Police. Reports emerged that Couzens had been involved in previous incidents of sexual misconduct, yet remained in his position. This raised serious concerns about accountability and the culture within the force. Changes and reforms. In response, the UK government and police pledged to implement reforms, including improved vetting processes for officers and increased efforts to address violence against women. However, trust in the police remains shaken, and calls for deeper systemic change continue. Conclusion. Sarah Everard's murder was a heartbreaking crime that exposed critical flaws in the policing system and highlighted the urgent need for societal change regarding women's safety. While her tragic death led to policy discussions and reform efforts, the case serves as a stark reminder of the work still needed to ensure justice and protection for all. Gabby Petito, the mysterious and tragic death of a travel blogger, 2021, USA. Who was Gabby Petito? Gabrielle "Gabby" Petito was a 22-year-old travel blogger and social media influencer from Blue Point, New York. She gained popularity for documenting her cross-country road trips with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, as part of the #VanLife movement. The couple traveled in a white Ford Transit van, visiting national parks and sharing their journey on platforms like Instagram and YouTube. The road trip and rising tensions. In June 2021, Gabby and Brian set out on a road trip across the United States. Initially, everything seemed perfect online, with smiling photos and scenic videos. But behind the scenes, their relationship was becoming strained. August 12, 2021, police in Moab, Utah, stopped the couple after a witness reported a domestic dispute. Bodycam footage later showed Gabby crying and visibly distressed, while Brian appeared calm. The police did not arrest either of them but separated them for the night. Brian stayed in a hotel, and Gabby remained with the van. This incident raised red flags in hindsight, suggesting possible abuse in the relationship. Gabby goes missing. September 1, 2021, Brian returned alone to his parents' home in Northport, Florida, driving the van without Gabby. He refused to speak to law enforcement or Gabby's family about her whereabouts. September 11, 2021, Gabby was officially reported missing by her family, who had not heard from her in days. Her disappearance quickly captured national attention, with thousands following the case on social media and news outlets providing constant updates. Discovery of Gabby's body. September 19, 2021, Gabby's remains were found in a remote area of Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. The coroner later confirmed that she died by manual strangulation and that her body had been left there for about 3 to 4 weeks. Search for Brian Laundrie. After Gabby's body was found, Brian became the prime suspect. However, by then, he had also gone missing. September 13, 2021, Brian's parents claimed he had gone hiking in the nearby Carlton Reserve in Florida and never returned. A massive manhunt followed, involving the FBI and local law enforcement. Brian Laundrie's remains found. October 20, 2021, partial human remains were discovered in the Carlton Reserve, along with a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian. October 21, 2021, dental records confirmed that the remains were Brian's. The autopsy concluded that he died by suicide, specifically a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The confession. In January 2022, the FBI revealed that Brian had left behind a notebook in which he confessed to killing Gabby Petito. The exact words were not initially released, but the FBI confirmed that he had taken responsibility for her death in writing. Impact and legacy. The Gabby Petito case sparked widespread discussion about domestic violence awareness, how missing persons cases are handled, media bias in missing persons coverage, especially concerning missing women of color. Gabby's family has since launched the Gabby Petito Foundation, aiming to help families of missing persons and raise awareness about domestic violence.
The Backpacker Murders, Australia, 1989 to 1993. Between 1989 and 1993, the tranquil forests of New South Wales, Australia, became the backdrop for one of the country's most chilling crime sprees. 7 young backpackers, mostly foreign travelers exploring Australia on shoestring budgets, mysteriously disappeared, only for their remains to be discovered years later in the dense and remote Belangolo State Forest. These were not ordinary murders. The victims had been subjected to unspeakable cruelty. Some were shot multiple times. Others had been stabbed so viciously that the blades had pierced bone. There were signs of restraint, sexual assault, and prolonged torture. One victim had even been decapitated, with the skull never recovered. The victims were Caroline Clark and Joan Walters from the UK, Gabor Neugebauer and Anya Habschied from Germany, James Gibson and Deborah Everest from Australia, Simone Schmidl, also from Germany. The horror began to unravel when 2 runners stumbled upon decomposed human remains in the Belangolo Forest in 1992. Over the following year, more bodies were discovered, all showing eerily similar patterns of brutality. A serial killer was clearly at work, but who? The investigation was complex and nationwide. Thousands of tips were followed, hundreds of suspects interviewed. The breakthrough came when a British backpacker, Paul Onions, came forward with a terrifying story. In 1990, he had been hitchhiking when a man picked him up, pulled a gun on him, and tried to abduct him. Onions managed to escape and report the incident, but it wasn't until the murders were linked that his story gained critical importance. That man turned out to be Ivan Milat, a seemingly ordinary road worker from Sydney. When police raided his home in 1994, they found chilling evidence: camping gear, clothing, and personal belongings of the victims. Ballistics testing matched the bullets used in the murders to Milat's rifles. In 1996, Ivan Milat was convicted of the 7 murders and sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Until his death in 2019, he maintained his innocence, despite overwhelming evidence. The backpacker murders sent shockwaves through Australia and around the world. They exposed the dark side of hitchhiking and led to widespread changes in how backpackers travel in remote areas. Ivan Milat remains one of the most notorious serial killers in Australian history.